It was a cold Friday morning, October 14th, 2005. I still remember the bite of the air when I laced up my boots. That day didn't look special, but it would change my life forever. My name? Doesn't matter. At least not yet. What matters is that I was the kid nobody believed in, especially my father. Every time I trained, every time I pushed my body until my muscles screamed, he stood there with that smirk, mocking me, laughing like I was some circus act. And let me tell you, nothing cuts deeper than your own blood turning your dreams into a joke. But here's the part that'll make you lean closer. The same man who mocked me would one day watch, wide-eyed, as the commander. Yes, the highest man in the room. Raised his hand and saluted me first. Crazy, right? A salute meant for me. The boy he swore would never amount to anything. You're probably wondering, how the hell did I get there? How did I turn from the family joke into the man who earned the commander's respect before anyone else? And before you think this is one of those cheesy motivational pep talks, relax. I'm not here to sell you a secret workout routine or a magic pill. I'm here to tell you a story so sharp, it'll make you feel every laugh, every bruise, every moment of fear I lived through. And trust me, you'll want to stay till the end. Because the way my father's face changed that day, you won't forget it. So before we dive headfirst into this story of humiliation, sweat, and a salute that silenced every doubt, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you love stories where the underdog fights back, and let's step into my world. Back then, I wasn't some hero in uniform. I was just a skinny kid with fire in my chest and a father who poured water on it every single day. My old man, he was tough, hard-working, and stubborn to the bone. The kind of man who thought bruises were pointless unless they came from a real fight. So when he saw me training, punching the air, running laps, drilling push-ups till my arms shook, he'd cross his arms and laugh. "You're wasting your time, boy," he'd say. "All this huffing and puffing. What's it gonna get you? Respect? Ha! Respect is earned by real men, not dreamers." Now don't get me wrong. I respected him. I wanted his approval more than anything. But every chuckle, every smirk, every sarcastic clap, it burned me alive. And at night, when the house was quiet, I'd stare at the ceiling and wonder, maybe he's right. Maybe I'm just punching shadows. Tell me, have you ever been laughed at by someone you love? Not by strangers. Strangers don't matter. But by your own blood? If you have, then you know that pain has a special way of crawling under your skin. It doesn't leave. Still, I couldn't stop. I'd wake up before dawn, while the world was still dark, and run until my legs begged me to quit. I'd train in the backyard, fists raw, lungs burning, sweat dripping into my eyes. And every time I thought I couldn't go on, I'd hear his voice again, mocking me, daring me to prove him wrong. Fear pushed me. His laughter pushed me harder. As much as I hated those words, as much as they cut me down, deep inside, they became my fuel. Every insult became another rep. Every smirk became another mile. It was like he unknowingly built the very soldier he swore I'd never become. And yet, the more I trained, the louder he laughed. The bigger I dreamed, the harder he tried to break me. What I didn't know back then was that the storm between us was building, and the day it finally clashed, it would happen in front of an entire unit. And the commander himself, June 21st, 2006. Summer was boiling, and so was I. That day should have been simple. Another morning run, another set of drills. But instead, it became one of those days that cut deep enough to leave a scar you never forget. I came back from training, shirt soaked through, lungs burning like fire. And there he was, leaning against the porch rail with that same crooked grin. He shook his head, clapped slowly, and said, "Look at you, sweating like a fool. You think any commander's gonna salute you? Son, they'll laugh harder than I do." And just like that, the little pride I carried in my chest crumbled. I froze. For a split second, I wanted to scream at him, throw it all back in his face, but instead I swallowed it. Because how do you fight your own father without breaking yourself in half? Funny thing is, if it had been a stranger, I'd have swung. I'd have thrown a punch and been done with it. But you can't punch your old man, right? Well, not unless you enjoy eating dinner through a straw. That's when the real conflict started. Not just between me and him, but inside me. Every time he mocked me, a war raged in my head. One side screaming to quit, the other whispering to keep going. Fear sat heavy on my chest. What if he was right? What if all this sweat was for nothing? What if I really was just wasting my life? And yet something about his words stuck to me like barbed wire. I couldn't pull them out, so I decided to wear them. Every laugh became a weight on my back. Every insult became a reason to push one more mile, one more rep. He wanted me to quit. I chose to double down. But the harder I trained, the more furious he became. Like my persistence was a direct insult to his authority. We weren't just father and son anymore. We were opponents locked in a silent war. A war that neither of us was willing to lose. And I swear to you, I didn't know it then, but that war was about to spill out into the open. Soon, his voice wouldn't be the only one laughing at me. Soon, an entire crowd would join him. And in the middle of that crowd would stand the commander himself. July bled into August, and August into September. While the world moved on, I stayed locked in my own routine. Wake up before dawn, boots on, fists taped, lungs ready to catch fire. And every single day I promised myself the same thing. I will not quit. I will not give him the satisfaction. Morning runs became my punishment. Push-ups became my prayer. Pull-ups, my confessions. Every drop of sweat was a quiet oath to myself that one day, I'd make him eat those words. But don't get me wrong, this wasn't a straight climb to glory. I fell, a lot. There were mornings my legs locked up and refused to move. Nights where my hands trembled too much to hold a fork. Once I even blacked out mid-run. Woke up in the dirt, gasping like a dying animal. You know what my father did when he saw me? He laughed. He said, "Guess even the dirt doesn't want you?" Yeah. Inspirational Father of the Year, right? Somebody get him a medal. Still, as brutal as it was, something was happening. My body hardened. My lungs expanded. The punches that once felt weak started to snap with power. My shadow sparring turned into real sparring. Slowly, I wasn't just training anymore. I was transforming. And even though my father's voice never stopped mocking me, I noticed something else in his eyes. A flicker. Like he couldn't quite believe I was still standing. Maybe he expected me to break in a week, maybe a month. But months turned into a year, and I was still there. Still pushing. Still climbing. His words cut, but they didn't kill. They sharpened me. Every night I went to bed broken, and every morning I woke up stronger. Fear became fuel. Pain became normal. And anger? Anger became my best friend. I carried it everywhere. In my chest, in my fists, in my lungs. And with every step forward, I whispered to myself, "He will see. One day, he will see." But the stronger I got, the worse his ridicule became. Like the more progress I made, the more desperate he was to drag me down. At dinner, he'd joke to my brothers, "Look at your hero over there. Can't even finish his potatoes after all his soldier training." He'd turn my effort into entertainment. And the worst part? They laughed too. That cut deeper than any push-up ever could. My own family watching me break my back, only to treat it like some comedy show. But I didn't lash out. I didn't quit. I just added their laughter to my training weight. Every chuckle was another mile. Every joke was another push-up. Eventually, opportunities started showing up. A chance to prove myself in drills, tests, and evaluations. For the first time, I saw other men look at me differently. Not as the fool my father painted me to be, but as someone who could actually hold his own. I wasn't the weak kid in the backyard anymore. I was a fighter. A soldier in the making, but my father wasn't done. Oh no. He wasn't going to just sit back and let me rise. He was about to push back harder than ever. And the battlefield for our final clash? It wouldn't be the backyard. It would be in front of an entire unit, with the commander himself standing at the front. It was November 2nd, 2007, the day of the evaluation drills. The sun hadn't even cleared the horizon when I lined up with the others. My heart pounded so hard it shook my ribs. And for the first time in a long time, fear tried to choke me. This wasn't the backyard. This wasn't just me versus myself. This was me versus everyone. And worse, my father showed up. Yeah, he actually came. Leaning against the fence with that same mocking grin, arms folded like he was about to watch me trip over my own boots. I could almost hear his laugh in my head before I even moved. The drill was brutal. We were tested on everything. Endurance, speed, precision, discipline. It wasn't about looking strong. It was about proving you belonged. And the commander himself was there, eyes sharp, watching every single move. I swear his gaze felt like it could cut straight through bone. First came the run. 5 miles, full gear, no excuses. My legs screamed halfway through, but I refused to quit. Every step I heard my father's voice mocking me. "You'll never make it." And every time it rang out in my head, I pushed harder. When I crossed that finish line, I didn't just finish. I finished first. Crazy, right? The same kid who used to collapse in the dirt now leading the pack. I almost laughed at myself. Almost. But I couldn't. Because this was just the beginning. Next came the drills. Obstacle course, sparring, weapon handling. One mistake, and you'd be done. I moved like I'd been born for it. Climbing, striking, blocking. Every motion fueled by years of being told I was worthless. My hands bled, my lungs burned, but I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Because this wasn't just a test. This was the war between me and my father. And quitting meant he won. And then it happened. The sparring match. My opponent was bigger, stronger, and faster. First hit landed hard, rattled my teeth. For a second, the world spun. I could hear the whispers around me, the doubt spreading. And in the middle of it all, I heard my father laugh. That laugh, sharp, cruel, cutting through the noise. Something snapped in me. Not anger. No, it was focus. A clarity I'd never felt before. I dug in, blocked, countered, and hit back harder than I ever had. The crowd shifted. Whispers turned into gasps. I wasn't the joke anymore. I was the fighter they didn't see coming. And when the match ended, I was still standing, my opponent on the ground. The silence that followed was deafening. For a second, I didn't even hear my father. Didn't see him. Because all I could feel was the commander's eyes locked on me. He didn't say a word. Not yet. He didn't need to. His silence was louder than any applause. But deep down I knew something was about to happen. Something that would change not just me, but everything between me and my father forever. Friday, November 2nd, 2007. The sun was dropping, painting the sky in fire. The drills were over, the matches done, and every man stood at attention in a straight line. My chest rose and fell like a war drum. Sweat stung my eyes, my hands shook, but I didn't move, because I knew something was about to happen. The commander walked out slowly, boots echoing on the pavement. You could hear a pin drop. Every soldier froze, back straight, eyes forward. And then he stopped, right in front of me. For a split second, I thought I was in trouble. My father's laugh rang in my head. I imagined him thinking, finally, they'll put him in his place. But what happened next silenced every voice, including his. The commander's eyes met mine, cold, sharp, calculating. Then his hand rose, not casually, not slowly, but crisp, sharp, deliberate. The commander saluted me, first, in front of everyone. You ever hear a silence so loud it feels like thunder? That's what it was. The air froze. The men around me blinked in disbelief. And somewhere behind the fence, my father's smirk cracked for the first time in my life. Funny, isn't it? The same father who said no commander would ever salute me had to watch one do it before his very eyes. Life's got a sense of humor, don't you think? But for me, it wasn't about revenge anymore. In that moment, I wasn't the boy who needed approval. I was the man who had earned respect. And not just from a commander, but from myself. That salute wasn't just a gesture. It was a crown. A signal that all the pain, all the laughter, all the humiliation had forged me into something unbreakable. And though my father didn't say a word, his silence told me everything. He finally saw me, not as a joke, not as a dreamer, but as the soldier I had become. That day, that salute, changed everything. And trust me, the story didn't end there. After the salute, the world moved again. Boots shifted, orders barked, men dismissed. But I stayed frozen in that moment. Because behind me I could feel his eyes. My father's eyes. For once, they weren't laughing. When the crowd cleared, I saw him standing there, hands still folded, but his grin was gone. His jaw was tight. His eyes locked on me like he was looking at someone he didn't recognize. And maybe he wasn't. Because the boy he mocked for years wasn't standing there anymore. We didn't speak right away. He didn't clap, didn't smile, didn't crack another cruel joke. He just stared, like every word he ever threw at me had bounced back and hit him all at once. For the first time in my life, I saw something in his face that I'd never seen before. Respect. Or maybe it was regret. Hard to tell the difference when a man realizes he was wrong. And no, he didn't hug me. My old man wasn't built for Hallmark moments. If he had, I'd probably have passed out from shock. But I didn't need the hug. I didn't need the words. The silence was enough. Because I knew, deep down, he'd never look at me the same again. And that was all I wanted. Not revenge, not applause, just the truth, that I had become more than his laughter. That night, when I lay in bed, I thought about everything. The bruises, the sweat, the pain, the humiliation. And you know what? I was grateful. Because without his doubt, without his laughter, without his constant tearing me down, I might never have risen so high. He thought he was breaking me, but he was building me. Every insult was a hammer strike. Every joke was another nail. And in the end, he built the soldier he swore would never exist. So here's the truth I learned. Sometimes, the ones who doubt you the most are the ones who give you the fire to keep going. Sometimes their laughter is the very fuel that will take you further than they ever dreamed. And that commander's salute? It wasn't just for me. It was for every underdog, every so-called failure, every joke that rose up anyway. It was proof that respect is never given. It's earned. And once you earn it, nobody can take it away. So that was the day my father's laughter finally went silent. November 2nd, 2007. The day the commander saluted me first. I walked off that field not just as a soldier, but as a man who had faced every doubt and turned it into strength. And here's what I want you to take with you. If someone's laughing at your grind, if they're mocking your effort, don't let it break you. Let it build you. Because respect doesn't come from words, it comes from proof. And once you've proven yourself, even the loudest voices against you will have nothing left to say. And hey, if you've got someone in your life who won't stop laughing at you, don't worry. Life has a funny way of shutting them up for you. Now, if you've stuck with me through this story, I've got a feeling you understand the fire of being doubted and the satisfaction of proving them wrong. So do me a favor. Hit that like button if this story lit a fire in you. Subscribe for more stories of revenge and redemption, and share this with someone who needs a reminder that their time is coming. Because believe me, it is.